They are, to me, I don't know. I'll have to look at them, but sometimes I think they overpower my face.
Oh,
And so, yeah, they are to me. I don't. Okay, so I don't need to hear myself repeat that. Okay, so let me finish editing. So, how are you?
I'm
I mean,
good. Oh my God. Good. I
I,
could turn those lights. Yeah, it's a good morning. I got to stand in the grass and ah, it was
yeah,
it was good. Yeah, it was a good morning. It was a really good morning. I love when I have these long meditations. I don't do them often because I, for whatever reason, I just can't. I be antsy. When I sit in one and can sit in it, it really feels good. I don't get a lot of ahas or anything like that. Feel, um, I feel rejuvenated.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a good morning, good evening, long day. Monday and Tuesdays are whew, intense days for me. So yeah. That's good.
Well, good. You know what? I yesterday I had the intent of being in bed by 9:30. That was my intention because I don't feel like since Friday, Saturday that shot, it's
Mhm.
like I feel like I haven't been rested yet.
Okay.
And so I had the intention of going to bed early last night, and that didn't quite happen the way I wanted it to, even though I was on my way there. It seemed
Mhm.
like I just never quite arrived when I was trying to. So this morning, I actually hit the snooze button,
Mhm.
and so I got up at 4:40 instead of 4:30. And I had a chance to go outside, and I spent yesterday the bulk of yesterday working in my yard.
Oh, nice. Very nice yard day.
Yes,
Very,
and
yeah.
so I got my grass all done, and it looks really good. I'm excited about that. Um, I need a new weed whacker. I know, so I'm kind of being mindful about that. But my compost bin,
Mhm.
that that is really, I don't even know how to explain the love and confusion I have around it, but I'm excited about it. So yeah, I had two compost bins. One is a big raised bed garden, and the other one is a smaller one that I'd had for a couple of years. And so I took the smaller one and started sifting it into, because what I didn't know about compost is that once you start to compost, you still have large pieces of stuff that's within the dirt, and so you got to sift the dirt out of the other stuff.
That what
And
keeps the odor
so
down or something? Is it rotted pieces or what? Tell me about.
it's so most of the stuff breaks down, but
Right.
that certain things don't. So I don't know, when you say the smell, I don't really have anything other than a earthy smell to mine, because I don't have anything in there that is um non-organic. So I don't have any meat or any bones or any
Right.
cheeses or anything like that in mine. So all of that is leaves and grass and
Okay.
vegetables
Okay.
that I take out of the house.
Okay. and take out.
I got orange peels. My corn cobs,
Okay.
those don't break down the way that I thought they would, but they do break down a little bit.
Okay.
Um, so I've got a lot of just stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually stuff that I eat on a regular basis. So whether it's banana peels or asparagus or cabbage, all of that stuff goes in there. And it just, and then it sort of breaks down into this wonderful rich stuff. and, and
Mm-hmm.
and what gets me is I'm so thrilled about all of the, like when I turn it over, I can see all the worms that are in there and all those night crawlers and all of that stuff that's scurrying around in there, so that's really exciting. um yeah, but yeah, it was, but it's a task.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so so I've got that one, and then I've got a smaller one that I am putting stuff directly into the ground, not on a raised bed, but I've got a thing around it. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing is I saw that some farmers believe that you can overwork soil. And
Okay.
so what they started doing is just, it's almost like making a hole. So like the size of a bucket, but you take something, you dig down just in that one spot to make the
Mm-hmm.
hole,
Mm-hmm.
put the plant in there. And so I created these holes um uh where the fabric is. I put down the fabric, I cut in holes, and then I'm working the hole so that next year I can choose a different spot next to that hole. I
Okay.
can go to a different spot.
Okay.
Um,
And then you just put your raw veggies or whatever in.
no. This is for planting. This is
Oh.
planting. So I dug the hole. I cultivated it a little bit. I'm going to put some compost into the hole,
Uh-huh.
sort of enrich that soil a little bit, and then I'll put a tomato plant directly into
In
it.
the ground. Okay.
So that
Okay.
yeah. So we'll see how that works. I haven't tried that before, but um, I've seen farmers do it in an effort to not over cultivate the land.
Mm.
Um, and I want to make sure that I'm not disturbing everything by digging up just a big portion of the dirt. I'm just doing it in these little holes. So we'll
Okay.
see how it goes. I'm excited for it anyway. And yeah, I got a lot of flowers to put out, and then I'm going to go back and get some tomato plants and set those out, and then I'll get other stuff in there little by little. But
Mm-hmm.
yay. I love this season. I love this
I do
this
too.
this yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but yes, I was out there in the dirt all day yesterday. I got some stuff to build, and yeah, so it's kind of exciting to me. Yeah. Yeah. So good morning folks. Welcome to Morning Glory. I am excited to share with you, talk to you today. Let's see. I'll leave that shadow on the side of my face. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you guys today and to yeah, just be here. Um, as you heard Stephanie and I catching up, and Stephanie looks like she's at work today.
I
So
am.
yeah, so she'll be in and out, bobbing in and out, but wonderful, wonderful.
I'm like, is it better for me to just be off camera?
No,
I don't know which one. It
mm-mm.
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it's good. You're perfect.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So, that's weird. That's weird. Anyway, that's perfect. So today we get to talk about anatomy of the spirit, and we get to talk about the other part of it. So we talked about chakras yesterday. Not sure if we finished up all of that, but now we're moving
You
on
did.
to the Kabbalah portion of it. So I'm just so thankful that you guys are here. And I open up in prayer. Father, Mother God, we give thanks for this moment, this space. We give thanks for everyone who comes in contact with this message. May they be blessed by their seeing as well as their hearing. God bless each and every person on this particular session. We thank you for them, and we speak blessings over their life as well. We know that the words spoken here are filled with your light, your love, and the wisdom of the highest.
Mm,
So we just give thanks, knowing that it is done, and so it is.
it is.
Amen. I think my little rash and my allergy stuff is taking a turn. So that should be clearing up. I'm excited about that. And just excited in general for the day. So this is one of those days for me. Um
What
I
one
have
of those days?
I was just about to say, I was just telling Stephanie probably before you guys
Um,
saw that came into the thing, that not only have I started out my day with this idea that somehow my journal was missing and I had misplaced it somewhere. No, the first thing I did was is I sat down at the table and I was like, it has got to be here, because I don't take this journal anyplace else. It sits here on my kitchen table. So I'm sitting there at my kitchen table arguing with my kitchen table, like, show me my journal. That's how I started off my day. Show me my journal. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm looking around, and finally I can't find it. So now I'm like huffing and puffing, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Sandra, there ain't no gremlins been in here. Nobody's been in your house. If it's not here, it's got to be someplace. So I get up and I go into here. I come into my office, and there is my journal sitting on the thing, which, when I guess is feasible, because a lot of times what I do is I close up. If I've got my Anatomy of the Spirit book, I'll close everything up. And I guess if I pick up, because I maybe I picked up my journal, put the Anatomy of the Spirit on top of that, put my phone on top of that, my glasses on top of that. Sometimes I'm bringing my laptop and I come into the office. So it's feasible that I brought it in here.
with your glasses too.
My glasses are not in here. So, and that's the other thing. I can't find I should say my favorite pair of glasses. So now I have two pairs of glasses missing.
No.
Indeed frustrating for me. And so I will do another walkthrough of the house after I get off of here, because they could be in the basement, they can be outside, but I do believe I brought them in. They could be up here, but I've already looked and turned over stuff up here, and I don't see them. So I got still got places to explore. But that's my little stuff for today. Something is missing. Something just ain't right. Yeah, something is missing. So it's all good. It's all good. We'll just make it do what it does. So so I'm wondering how everybody else is. But whatever the case may be, I am trusting that all is well and all is good, Good morning to you. So today, I will say that I'm excited because what we're doing is Carolyn Miss is doing in her book just what we do in this talk. We kind of set up for what is to come. And so she already said that the three things that she is using to basically talk about our energy system is the chakras, one, and then the Talmud, the sacraments from the Talmud, which is two. And she talks about how those correspond to the chakra system. And so, so when as she breaks it down, even though there are 10, she says that two of them are almost like the opposite, one the opposite of the other. So it's this energy that goes together. So the 10, since there's three that go together, is really still within the seven, the system of seven, or the number framework of seven, because of the things that do match. And then we will go into, after that, the Christian sacraments and talk about those too. And then as we bring it all together, we'll talk about how it plays out in our energy system or our bodies. But all of this is laying like the foundational framework. And we could really just jump forward. I mean, we could, but for me, one thing, I'm not in a rush. Number two is that the meandering, I think, sometimes creates a framework on. So when we say that you begin to look at your life in terms of energy, for me, when I started changing around how I related to stuff, I always looked at it for anything like there is got to be a mental cause for this physical condition that I'm feeling. And I don't know about you, Stephanie, but if I get a headache, it's like if I get a headache, I'm like, okay, what's this about? Where is this from? What did I do? Right? And so everything has a correspondence like that. Now, I know as you know, we could say as Black folks, we could say as American folks, we could say as women, we could say as whatever we want to. There is a natural amount of stress that we have, that we carry along with us just because.
Yes. Just because we're humans, huh?
Well, yeah, but you know,
Your body.
yeah, but there is also like, so say for instance, I attended a ward club meeting last night.
Mm-hmm.
And as I listened on the ward club meeting, there were people who would have you thinking that we were living in the end times.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
you know, there's gunshots and, you know, broken glass everywhere. I mean, just,
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean,
Oh wow.
it's just crazy. The stuff that you hear and the stuff that people, and so you get this feeling of, and for me, I will tell you, when I'm in my yard, when I'm in my yard working, I am sort of like I feel like I'm sort of in a cocoon. And there might be stuff happening around. And so let me tell you this, because a couple of years ago, this is what happened to me. I'm in my yard and I'm working, which is, you know, what I do in the summertime. And I don't know, I'm just working. I sometimes I have a book going in my ear. Sometimes I'll have some music playing in the garage because I've got a little device out there. But it's really like me and nature just working. And so at some point, I think, like I said, this was a couple of years ago. At some point, I looked up and I noticed that there were cars zooming past, right? Just, you know. And so I thought, let me let me walk up front and see what's happening. So I walk down my driveway and I go and I look down the street and there are like police cars everywhere. They are putting up the tape, they're putting up barrier tape. There's all kind of stuff. And I'm looking like, what the heck happened? And so now I'm like, oh, I got to go ask one of my neighbors, what the heck happened? And they were like, oh, you didn't hear the gunshot? Somebody just got killed right there. I mean, it's 500 feet away, I guess you could say, but it was on the next block, but it's probably about 500 feet away. I was totally oblivious. And so I know that I have a tendency that to tune the rest of the world out and to be in my own zone, to not know what's going on around me. I have that ability to just kind of, that is all gone. So for me, not saying that I don't get stressed, but I know that other people experience the stress of life, right? If it's the gorillas in the mist or whatever, there's the stress of life that really gets to them, because sometimes what we do is we give our attention over to the things that are going on in the world. I had a girlfriend that said to me one time, like, oh, you ought to download, I think the app is called Neighborhoods or something. I'm not
Oh, is
exactly.
that one that gives all the police reports and all the,
Yes,
oh yeah, no, yeah.
yes. So I had that thing on my phone for a week, and then I was
Ooh, a
like,
whole
oh,
week.
delete,
I did it for
delete,
one day.
delete.
I couldn't do it. I was just like,
I
this is
was just like,
too
yes,
much.
no, no. I tried. I was trying, because there's this, am I the only one in the world that's oblivious to all this stuff that's going on around me? I was like, yeah, no, I am not. Yes.
Happy ignorance. I don't need to know that. Or what I believe that what we need to know, we will know, because life will just kind of orchestrate itself to bring whatever needs to be at my attention to my attention. I'm supposed to know what I know.
Right. But and it's funny because some people will give you the news whether you want the news.
Maybe that's my time to know.
Yeah, yeah. So for me,
That is so true.
yeah, for me, I am, most of the time I'm in the blissful ignorance of not knowing. And it allows me to see and anticipate the good in people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I know is that the majority of the world is good, that there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of good people in the world. Now, I do also know that there are a lot of people that are experiencing um, a lot of stress in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and not necessarily knowing how to process it. There was a guy walking down the street yesterday while I was up front doing my grass, and I heard him shouting and cursing,
Mm-hmm.
"Get your MFing ass on that curb and get over here," and just hollering. And I turned to look, and that little kid that he was hollering at couldn't have been any more than 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, 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 oh,
Oh
oh.
my gosh. And was
Ah.
acting, the little child was acting stubborn. It didn't seem I'm saying it, calling it a it. The little boy did not seem as if he didn't understand. It's like, well, if you're gonna shout at me, I'm gonna take my time.
Right. I'm gonna get yelled at either way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you gonna act all like that, I'm just gonna keep my head down and take my time. And the man was just shouting like he was having a conniption. And you know, there's that part of you that wants to go and intervene. But when you see somebody that's already that riled up,
Right,
you know, it's like, yeah, this is not the time, and I'm not the
right.
to.
And yeah, and that one conversation with him probably wouldn't have been much of an impact unless he was in that. Because when people yell, I think like that, I don't think that they consider that that is having an impact on you. It's that's their regular. They
Right.
they don't think it's horrible or bad until they actually physically do something, or but if they're just yelling, it's just like, I'm just yelling. So yeah, your
Yeah.
words are like toothpaste, you cannot take them back. So you know now the world, this person sees themselves as a little mf because you said so.
Right. Right. Right.
Because you said so.
And and I always wonder, because I didn't experience that type of stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There were some things that I experienced that were rather traumatic, but not that,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are some things that I've witnessed that were impactful at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I still remember to this day. But that particular thing wasn't one of them. And I hear people who um I, and I get that people are stressed. I
Yeah.
mean, having a child is stress.
Mm-hmm.
Having a child that you are struggling to take care of is stress. Not having a plan and a purpose, like a vision for their life, is stress. Because like I used to tell people that my parents raised us with intention. There was always intention that I want to raise, healthy, gregarious, secure adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just looking at it like, today this is what I'm doing. So all of this stuff is just this accumulated stress, and depending upon how he was raised, it may just be this piling on of stress. He may not even, who knows what his relationship with his father was like. I don't
Right.
know, but
I mean, you can guess. You can guess what it was or was not. You don't know the full detail, but hurting people hurt people. And that has never
mhm,
failed to be an experience that I've not witnessed. So, somewhere along that person's journey, there was a hurt. And so they hurt.
so right now I am, hey Johnny Dent, raised with intention. Hey, and Gretchen,
Good
yeah.
morning.
Good morning, good morning. So I'm reading a book right now that is another book on James Baldwin, because all of a sudden I'm fascinated by James. And they were talking about this debate that occurred, and the the debate was between Baldwin, and I want to say his name was Burton or something like that, but these two men. And so what they are doing is that they go back and they were looking at the background of their life to then bring it forward to say that you can't understand the real context of the debate without understanding the personality of these two people who were debating. So, person
Okay.
James Baldwin was brought up in Harlem, and to Black parents, and he's not sure of who his dad was, but he knows the man who would be his stepfather, or who would raise him, and the struggles with his own issues and his own stuff that he was going through. And he's debating this guy, this white guy who was raised with privilege. He had parents from out of the South. They had an estate. They had tutors. Um, they used to sit around the dinner table and debate as a way of life. And so that was the way he conversed and the way that he thought. That was he went to Yale. It talks about his experience at Yale and his debating with not only with the faculty, but with the shareholders or the board of directors about, because he was a devout Catholic and he was thinking that, we shouldn't have all of these liberal professors up here that may be, leading students astray. So it talks about the background and the context of both of these people. And so I find it really fascinating that the way that we look at people, I mean, in general, because for me, I never look at somebody as if they're just one dimensional, but so often what we see is a person in the moment. And I think that that's one of the reasons why sensitivity training is so important, because there is this this need to see people not just as they present in the moment, but see them in the context, not only of where they are, but what may be at play.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I think when you have people that present and you're not sure if they have mental, what do you call it?
With the mental health or behavioral health challenges?
Yeah, you know how, I mean, people are presenting with with issues that aren't criminal.
Yeah.
And so rather than your answer being, oh, I meant to tase them, but I actually shot them, instead of that being the answer, how about we give it a minute and see what else may be at play here,
Yeah. So
because we are not one dimensional.
my thing about that sensitivity training, even some of the diversity and inclusion trainings and things of that nature, one of the things that it doesn't address is it address, to be able to see things differently or whatever, but it doesn't address how the heck do you see this? And if we do say, how do you see it? We quickly say, how do you see it? And we don't let people sit in their truth about what they think about seeing somebody yelling at their kid, or what they think about the person that's pulling a wallet out of their pocket to give you a driver's license that you request. We don't explore, when we do sensitivity trainings, what is the truth that person is holding right now. And we try to kind of say, like, you need to be sensitive to this, you need to pay attention. But I don't think we ever stop to explore, and maybe that's what therapy is, I don't know, what that person is holding already on the inside of them that makes them reactive or responsive. I don't know if I'm making
Are you talking about a police officer, or are
a
you talking
police
about
officer, or when you're in a store, just going to the grocery store. Let's just say I go to a grocery store in Pepper Pike, and the red cashiers or the team has been versed in diversity and acceptance and sensitivity training, but that person has an I hate to say inherent, like they have already a natural bent towards a negative thought process of some, like a person of color, I'm talking
uh-huh.
quote, but we never address that in training about what that person is holding already about, like, what am I holding about someone that is homeless? What is my natural prejudice? I think that's the word that I'm trying to look for. The initial prejudice that I'm already holding, that I'm holding about something or someone with challenges. Am I making sense? Maybe I'm gonna let me think about what I'm trying to say. What I
Okay.
feel, but I need to think about what I'm trying to convey.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. So, and Johnny Dent says that how about simply convey remorse? Yeah, I
Mm,
don't see remorse for those
no,
for the loss of
mm,
human life.
no,
Yeah, and
no,
I think that I don't think that there is a lot of remorse. I think that having remorse might admit that you did something wrong. And so
exactly.
people are busy trying to say, I'm not responsible for that because
Right. Wasn't me.
I was scared. I was, like here we had we were calling it 120 something shots that happened over in East Cleveland where the officers killed two people. The officer got up on the hood of the car and shot down into the car, even after they were still shooting while standing on the top of the car. And his defense is that he was afraid for his life. Um, and
I got
and
goosebumps. I never heard this story.
you
I'm just
haven't?
like, no. Nobody,
Um,
you brought the news to me. I was supposed to learn it today because I had never
right.
heard it. I
Well,
never, oh my goodness, I
I
got
think it's,
goosebumps. My mouth
yeah,
is hanging
I think
open.
it's
Wow.
Williams and Melissa
Ah,
Timothy and Melissa. I wanted to say what their names are, but I don't want to. It happened in East Cleveland though,
mm.
a few
Oh,
years back, and it was a car chase. They chased them through the streets and into East Cleveland and began to shoot. It wasn't a shootout. They want to make it sound like it was a shootout. The folks wasn't even armed, but they started shooting into the car and yes, and got on top of the hood of the
oh
car,
my
shooting
goodness.
down into the car. And it was horrific. It was
Mm.
yes. So society seems to become quick to respond with anger versus taking a breath and examining a situation these days. I call it the Karen or Ken syndrome. Um,
I just
yeah,
know that Karen syndrome too.
yeah, but there is and I think that that's why we have such a big outcry too, is because if you could just say, oh, I felt threatened and get off on something, then it makes it's people less responsible. I mean, what's wrong with stopping to check out the situation? What's wrong with giving it a moment? I mean, we see it happen all the time, but for some odd reason, you know, that is not how it's conveyed. There should always be remorse for the loss of human life. Yes, I agree. A human being who left the web of humanity that takes to admission of the guilt, and in my opinion, it could lend more sympathy to the idea that I had duty, I had a job, I had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, well, okay. But maybe that's why we don't have the remorse, is because yeah,
Just
that
doing my job.
what you are saying, Johnny, is that that people will be acting with a certain amount of decorum or integrity in their work. Like if you were to say, I had no choice, but they do have choices. They didn't opt for another choice.
Right.
That sounds like a statement of a person with integrity. And what we are seeing here is not that these days. So, but anyway, not to belabor this because we could talk about this all day, but then what happens is we devolve into talking about the base of humanity, rather than where we trying to get to is the exaltation of humanity.
Yes, the higher vibration.
I don't like to dwell in those spaces that causes me to get off of my off of my um off of my high. That's what we were just saying though, weren't we?
Yes.
About being able to choose what we are giving our attention and our energy to. And so
Yes.
I love, love, love the discussion. But it's not, in the morning time, I am a firm believer that our morning sets up our day. I've had, my glasses missing, my journal missing, but I still got the sunshine coming in. I'm here talking to you fabulous people. And I know that this is going to be a glorious, glorious day. So all is well, all is
It
good.
is.
Yay, 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 yay.
Mhm.
And even though it's going to rain today too, right? We are expecting rain. And that was one of the reasons why I was so adamant about getting the stuff set up, because it's gonna rain and the rain is so good. My ground needs rain. So I'm ready for it. So when she starts talking about Carolyn Myss, when she starts talking about the 10 Sephiroth, she breaks them down so that we can understand them a little bit better. She says, and this book I need to pull out from some place, because I have this book on my shelf, the Zohar, the Book of Enlightenment. The divine shares these 10 qualities with human beings. So they share the qualities with human beings. Excuse me. They are special powers that we are mandated to develop and refine in our life journey. So she says Judaism never had a prophet as a direct incarnation of the divine like Christianity has, right? So, and so in contrast, she says, Buddhism began with a man, Siddhartha, who was anointed to carry the message of enlightenment among the people of the earth. Buddhism does not describe a human-like God force, but Hinduism has many gods who came to earth, and Christianity has the Son of God who lived 33 years. And so each of those approaches this in a different way. Even in Hinduism, who has many gods, those gods resonate or carry with them into existence a certain type of meaning or force. If I am not mistaken, some of the African religions have different gods. It is what people would call a polytheistic type of study. However, those gods would be or resonate to something different. So it's not just one supreme overlord, but rather the god of, like Poseidon. Poseidon was over the waters, the god of the waters. Or you would have the god of fire, or the god of sex, Pan. There are many, many religions that have what we call deities, these smaller gods, all of which reigns over a particular thing, and people would pray to them. But just like in Christianity has saints. And I know that there is like the traveling saint, Saint Peter and Saint, I don't even know what all their names are, but they have different saints that resonate to different ideas and concepts. So while these things may come across as being different on the surface, at their core, we may find similarities throughout all of this. So let me share with you what the 10 Sephirets are qualities. They are qualities of the divine, and they also form the archetypal or the archetypal human. And so the qualities are interpreted both as the essence of God and the path by which we return to God. So in this tree of life, the tree of life, instead of it standing like a tree that we see that's in the ground going up, the tree of life is depicted as it being the roots of which are in the heavens, like if the heavens are overhead, and then the roots are up there, and then it comes down into the earth. And so there's that inverted tree. And so here are, and I'm going to mess up these names. I'll already tell you that I'm going to mess up these names, because I do believe that I'm not even sure what language this is, but I will share with you. The Keter, which is spelled Keter, Keter, and it's the supreme crown of God. That's what it represents, representing the part of the divine that inspires physical manifestation. Um, it is therefore the most inclusive. There is no identity, no specificity in this point of being between the heaven and the earth, right? Then the next one is the Hokarum, which is wisdom. And it represents the contact between the human mind and divine thought, or divine thought and divine mind and human thought. So through these energies, physical manifestation begins to form. Form precedes actual expression. And that is regardless of religion. The form precedes, I mean, the thought form precedes the expression. So in the Bible, it says that which appears comes from that which does not appear, that which you don't see. So form comes out of the invisible. And so it says here, form precedes actual expression. And I'm not exactly sure of what philosopher it was that talked about this world of forms as if everything has a perfect form. It wasn't Plato, but things exist and in their perfection someplace, and everything else is sort of like a mold off of that. And that's a whole nother idea system or idea thought. Benai, or Benay, the understanding and the intelligence of God. It is the divine mother, the womb where all is made ready for birth. The Hesed, the love or mercy of God, also greatness, partnered with the fifth chakra, which is Gravura, also known as Din, power, judgment, and punishment. Those two are considered the right and left arms of God. The Teferet, compassion, harmony, and beauty, considered the trunk of the tree. The Nezah, the endurance of God, partnered with the eighth, the Had. Together they represent the legs and the body of God. So the Had is the majesty of God. Again, that is part of the right legs of God. Yasad is the phallus, the procreative force of God. And you know what? And it's so interesting because when I went to Greece when I was studying overseas. And when I went to Greece, I was really amazed by, I mean, just Greece in general. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful city. Most of their stones, as you see in the stuff, is this kind of whitewashed thing. There are, of course, parts of town that are really grimy and dirty, where you don't see that gleaming white stone stuff. But they had statues, some of everywhere. I mean, just, you could be walking down what seems like to you a regular street, and at the end of the street, there is a statue. And a lot of times it was a statue of a man that was posing with his penis erect and pointing upward. And, you're wondering what is, it was just like everywhere. You would just see them. And some man standing there with his thing out. And they made all of these things out of, statues. And so this yesod, the phallus, is the procreative force of God, emerging energy into the physical world. And so there was a time when they called it the reign of the phallus, which was to say, that somehow they worship the phallus, their penises, as a god, so to speak. I find it an interesting thing to walk through the streets of Greece and just see all of those, just everywhere. I mean, just everywhere. Just, you know, who knew? Who knew? Um, Shakim, Shakina is what is it? The feminine mystical community of Israel. All Israel is her limbs, balancing the male energy of Yesod. The female has many names: Earth, Moon, Rose. And what's interesting is that we can call it, on one hand, we could say that it is the phallus that we are worshiping, and then on the other hand, it is this feminine mystical community. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. So anyway, this all of this together, the Teferet and the Shekinah are merged, and the human soul awakens and the mystical journey begins. At that moment, the Sephiroth is ceased to be merely an abstract and becomes a well-detailed roadmap as to spiritual development. Now, I will say, sometimes I have, I think that in our culture, we have learned to bastardize particular parts of us because we don't like them, and we don't, no, it's not even that we don't like them. We are taught to hate parts of ourselves. In particular, our sexuality. We have been made to feel as if it is not valid, that it is not something that we should celebrate. And so we have a disengagement here, us, from our bodies. And so how do we really get to a place of love? How do we experience that? Right? And that becomes a challenge for each and every one of us, to experience the fullness of this spiritual journey by being able to incorporate all of it. So one of the things that I learned through when I did my 10-day silent meditation, I'm not sure if I talked about that during this thing, but one of the things that I learned is that in part, it becomes us figuring out our own truth. Like, how do we get all of this stuff? How do we get all of the goodies, so that, and it's only through that embrace of all of it that we get to a point where we get to own or accept any of it. And I think that becomes a challenge for us. I know that sounds like it's a circular argument, but I think that becomes the challenge for us to learn how to embrace all of who we are, and in so doing, we get to embrace God. Because any part of us that we're rejecting or that we're throwing away is like saying, oops, you messed up, right? But when we get to a place of acceptance, self-acceptance especially, we know that we are on our divine right path. So look, I'm going to end here today. Um, I'm going to end here today. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I thank you guys for being here. I will be back tomorrow, same time. We will pick up where we left off, and then go from there. Yeah, yep. So thank you so much for being here. I want to do my prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. I thank you, Stephanie, for being here. I thank you, Johnny and Gretchen, and all whoever else was here. I thank you so much for being here. We'll pick up with this tomorrow when we begin to talk about, oh gosh, it looks like we're still on this. Yeah, how the chakras, the sacraments, and the Sephirot, all of those work together. We will be picking up from there on page 76. So I will see you then. All right. Take it easy. Have an amazing day. All right.